Hola, amiga, and welcome to the Latina Leadership Podcast, a podcast by Latinas for all women. Get ready because today's conversation is really special.
Hola, and welcome to another episode of the Latina Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Angelica Casares, and as mentioned, I have the one, the amazing J.C. Frias here in South Texas, McAllen. So we met 6 years ago.
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah. Last year, there was a switch in what you were doing with the community that you've built and then continue to build.
Yes.
JC, for those who don't know, and I'm sure everybody's like, Angelica, shut up, we all know. But for those who don't know, I asked this question to everybody just to see how the conversation might go is, who are you and what do you do?
Well, my name is J.C. Frias. I am from South Texas. I've lived a little bit of everywhere. I grew up a military brat. Mm-hmm. I am the son of immigrant parents. My father is an immigrant to this country. And what do? I think I do a little bit of everything.
Okay, let's ask this. Since last year, what have you been doing?
You know, I have been really, I would say, advocating for my community in the way that I know best, using my voice. And I love researching. I love looking up things, and I love staying in the know. And I felt like, you know what, there are people out there that want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's not easy or accessible for them to understand, right? Or have all of that. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. So that is what I do. I advocate for my community and look for ways to share information to my community.
So when you talk about, because I feel like you egg me on, I feel like you really bring the space to be able, the way you leave off with the question, I don't know, what do you think? And I'm like, I think a lot of things. I think, so what do you want me to do, JC? Do you want me to get on here too and tell you what I think? Like, what do you mean, what do I think? You already know what I think. Do you want to hear it? I feel like you egg me on, and I feel like, is that the purpose?
You know, it's really interesting that you say that, because I had two other people just this week that said that. They're like, it kind of gives me like a little bit of like the English comadre version of like, pues, no sé. What do they say? It's escaping me. Where they go like, pues, ¿quién somos nosotros para juzgar? You know what I mean? Like that type of vibe. But it's like I say it at the end because I think it's a moment for us to reflect. Like, what do I think? How do I see this?
Yeah.
Do I see it this way? Do I see it another way?
Yeah.
Is there something that's missing? Is there something that I need to learn more about? You know, because politics and everything, it's so broad.
Yeah.
And it affects us in so many ways. People are saying, I don't want to be political. And I'm like, no, baby. Like, everything is political, even if you don't want it to be. It is. If you are a small business owner, it is political.
Todo.
Everything.
Yeah.
And so what space are you going to take up and understand a little bit more? Even if it's not everything, what space impacts you that you feel like, hey, you know what? I want to have an opinion about this, and I want to get more knowledge about that. About this.
So yesterday I interviewed Bobby Pulido.
Ooh.
And he is a good one. It matters, but it doesn't matter. And one of the things that I was telling Bobby was this, is that whether you're interested in civic engagement or not, it's going to happen to you. Whether you care or not, whether you vote or not, whether whatever, it's going to happen to you. And the indication is today that we see how it is. That we see how it truly is. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
There is a topic though that I'm hoping you're okay with me covering.
Okay.
Is this?
I bet.
The entire Karol G and the Mariachi.
Okay. What's your question?
My question is.
Yeah, tell me.
At this point, there's contracts that are signed. There's things that people have committed to. The best thing for me, in my opinion, in my thoughts, is that she should just omit the entire mariachi thing. Not get another mariachi, not do anything else, just omit it. At this point, now you know. You truly know.
Yeah, I agree. I think I love Karol G.
And that's just hard for me because
I'm going to tell you,
I'm a ride or die.
I went through a divorce one of her albums, I went through a divorce
Bichota?
in 2018.
Okay.
So there was an album that she had that I was listening to. It was she had several anthems of mine. Like,
Yeah.
I am connected to her music. I love her music. And I also love how she entered a space that there were not a lot of women in that space. So she really, and she didn't just enter and like back out. She like dug in and went in and kept going in.
Yeah.
And she had a lot of hate.
Yeah.
And so I'm a huge fan when it comes to mariachis. As a Latino and as a Mexican American, mariachis are our world.
Yeah, they are.
You know, when people get married in our culture, we have mariachis. When there's a funeral, they were at my abuelita's funeral.
Hola.
You
Mother's
know?
Days is coming and everybody gets a mariachi for an hour or two.
Everything. They're so connected to us. When I post videos, and I'm getting to your point.
No, go for it.
When I post videos online of these raids that are happening to our families, we're using mariachi music. It is embedded in our culture, in our feelings, and who we are. And so at this point, I give her and her team the benefit of the doubt that they had no idea all these ties. And the man, and the man and the history of this organization, I'll tell you this. I didn't have one mariachi member reach out. I didn't have 5. I didn't have 20. I had over 50 different mariachi people throughout the state of California reach out to me and tell me how this man is a legend in this area, but also how this is so conflicting to them.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm so deep in it with this is because it's not just that they're MAGA or Trump.
Yeah.
It's that
they're vocal.
They're vocal, and the wife is tied. She's the president of the Lincoln Foundation in OC.
I seen that.
Which they have millions and millions of dollars that they have raised for Republican agendas that are affecting our lives as Latinos today.
You're right.
So it's not just I voted for him. It's that I continue to raise money, I continue to fund this, and I continue to double down on this.
Yeah.
And so at this point, with this knowledge, and with Karol G being so vocal that she wanted to make this about her community, with Karol G taking so many small business owners that you and I know, right?
Yes, personally.
That have set up shops.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So there's so many amazing things. And for you to find out this information and to not just say, hey, I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I don't stand with this.
So here's the thing is that all the small shop owners there have skin in the game.
Yeah.
And for them, they don't want to be, they want the opportunity to still be seen as like a person to be able to sell.
Yes.
Still, you don't want to, they don't need to be outed. They don't need to be, because we already know that whether they agree with it or not, we know their opinion. Because they said it before. It's not up to them. But it's up to us, the public, the community, the supporters of Karol G, the friends of those vendors who are out there to the Bichota records and doing that stuff. And it's true. It's true. I didn't know there was so much money tied to it.
Oh, just in 2024, they raised over $3 million. Okay? And there's videos of her where they invite different politicians out. They've had Governor Newsom from Florida, who has doubled down on Alligator, Alcatraz, and other detention centers in the swamps. And they have pictures celebrating with him. They have Ted Cruz, who left us here in Texas, in Houston, devastated as he went to Cancun. So, like, when we talk about this and how you're setting up your platform, and then this is happening, and to not say, hey, guess what? Like, I had no idea. I'm going to distance myself. Yes, there's contract signed. What can we do? What statement can we make? Can we make a statement and say there's contract signed already? But this is where we're at. This is what we're going to do. This is what I'm going to donate. But to take 2 steps back and not say anything.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'm crazy about this is it's everywhere. So they know.
They know.
And their publicists have all 3 of her publicists have muted their comments. So they know.
They know.
And
it's
so
it's up to them.
It's up to them.
Yeah.
And that's the disheartening part of it all, because as a community, we should be protecting each other, and we should be standing up for each other, and we should give each other grace, but also be able to say, hey, you know what? I effed up, or I didn't know, and let's correct it. Y vámonos.
I have a really hard time doing that, porque sometimes I want to say to some what the fuck did you just do? Like, what did you do? I was so vocal and loud from the very beginning. And this was like when it all first started to transpire, right? And then Biden and then, whatever. I was so vocal about it and people couldn't let it go for me. They were like, but we all know because you make it so well known. You make it so well known where your stance is at. Right now, I don't want to say anything because I want to tell people you were fucking warned. You were warned over and over. You seen his and I mean, it got so personal that I couldn't. I couldn't anymore. What do we say to people who feel, and maybe this is advice for me. What do you say to a person like myself who is invested into the political, against the entire Trump administration from day one? And then everything transpired and everything has happened, and they're kind of just tired of fighting all the time because it's been years, but they still want to be in the space and still talk about civic engagement. What would you tell them?
So if I understand the question right, it's what would I tell somebody?
So somebody who's tired.
That's tired.
Yeah.
Take a break.
Okay.
Take a break, baby girl. We cannot pour into somebody else's cup if our cup is empty.
Yeah.
So we have to take a break.
Okay.
And we also have to know our lane and know what we want to advocate for. There's so many things.
Yeah.
And even on my platform, there's so many things I can cover and talk about, and I wish I could. I can't cover them all. But I know that there's somebody else out there that I follow, that I love, that's covering it. And my audience is hearing that. And I'm going to repost it and share it and let them do that work.
Okay.
Because I can't do that part of it.
Okay.
But I'm going to focus on what I can do and how I can help. And so that's what I would say. And when it comes down to it, if you're tired, take a break, recharge, and come back to it. I think we all owe ourselves breaks in this and pass the baton to somebody else and then pick it up again.
I like that. I'm going to hold myself accountable to this much, at least, is to hold myself accountable to legislation and agendas that are going to be affecting entrepreneurs in the entrepreneurship space, because that's my passion.
And the more that we can get that hyper fixated on our area, the more we become a source of knowledge for those individuals. I started talking about politics, and I've been involved for years. I've helped organize different things and in my own way and how I could. I used to work in finance. So there was a lot of things in the company that I was at that I could not be as vocal, or I could lose my job and my living, And so there were certain things I couldn't do. Yeah. But as this term came around, I said, you know what? There are not enough people that look like me that are talking about this, and also talking about this in English. We have a lot, when we hear politics, there's a lot of Spanish speaking, right? And maybe there can be a lot more, right? Yes. There's Spanish speakers. But I'm like, I am first generation through my dad. I'm third generation, fourth generation, however you want to count it, through my mom. I understand Spanish, I understand English, but I consume all my information, my media in English, my news in English. And I know if I'm like that, there are other people just like me that consume it like that. Yeah. So I'm going to take up that space and carve up my own lane, and I'm going to do and share how I want to share it. Okay. And I'll get people that are like, why are you doing pop culture? Like, aren't you... I had somebody that said, I did something about, I think the first video I did with Karol G. And they're like, why? I thought this was news. Yeah, I thought this was news. Political news. I'm like, yeah, it is. Everything is political.
Let me show you.
Yeah,
let me connect the dots
the dots. And that is the biggest thing, that a lot of us don't have the time to do all this research. Yeah. So I'm going to connect the dots for you. And now you can go Google search it, because that's what I'm doing. Google searching, and I'm following the track of it. And then it opens up other questions, and then I'm like, okay, well, let me look that up. And so it just continues to connect the dots for people, and I think that is one of the things that people relate with me. Yeah. So if you want to talk about entrepreneurship, business, Latinas, there's a lane. There's a huge audience that needs that, that don't know where to go, and you can be that resource for them.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. I really want to do that. No, thank you for that.
And I think you are.
I'm trying.
Yeah,
I'm trying. I really am
I
trying.
Think you are.
Yeah.
And not just saying you're trying, you're doing. Look where we're at.
Yes. Yes.
No, for real,
yes.
right?
I came to the small businesses here in South Texas and in different areas in Texas because I knew they couldn't come all the way to Houston to the conference that I hold once. But it's once because you have to move your dates around to be able to do it. We can barely move around our times throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way we can carve out 1 or 2 days. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I'll go to you.
Yeah.
I'll go to you. I have the time.
Mm-hmm.
I have the source. I have the resources.
Mhm.
I have the van.
Yeah,
Let me go to you.
I love it.
Let me go to you.
Yeah.
So thank you. I appreciate that.
I really do think, and that's what I'm saying. I think sometimes we also have to give ourselves credit.
Yeah.
You know, we have to say, hey, you know what? Like, I wanted to go to the Dili detention. They did a whole caravan today.
I seen it.
I wanted to
seen
go.
it.
I've been twice.
3 hours away. I was gonna try to go.
Sometimes, and I've gone, and every time I've gone, I've had to pay out of my own dime to go, right?
Yeah.
I had to figure it out and go and do all that. Nobody's paying me to go.
Yeah.
I wanted to go this time, but it's my dad's birthday. He turned
Okay.
71.
Okay.
So my family came down, and I'm like, they came down from San Antonio. I'm like, there's no way I can
Yeah.
leave when we're celebrating, right?
Yeah.
So I had to just be like, it's okay. Other people are going. Other people are showing up. I'll repost and share their stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna do what I can do.
I thought it was like an hour away. As I was going to try to take the van, I was like 3 hours away. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I don't think I could do that because I've committed to the city of McAllen to be here.
Okay.
To be here from 4 to 6, so there was no way I could be here back on time.
Ah,
And I started. It weighed heavy on my heart, but I was like, okay. I can do only what I can do.
Yeah.
And to be there in that space would have definitely shown up. There's more that I can do.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about more to be able to be done, yes, we should all rest. But in addition to that, what can individuals do outside of voting?
You know, I think we have to have conversations. We have to have what we're having right now.
Okay.
And we have to have, there's different mediums of those conversations, right? I'll sometimes hear people say like, oh, you're on social media and you're just sharing a post. Like, that's doing nothing. No, that is doing something.
We cuss on this podcast. You're
You
fine.
know, that is doing something. You are doing something by watching that video and sharing that video.
Good.
And you know, as a small business owner, how that like helps, how that share helps, how that follow helps.
Yeah.
It's all compounded,
Yeah.
right? So if I had 100 people that shared that post, you didn't just get that in front of 100 more eyes. You got that in front of thousands of more eyes.
Yeah.
And you got that into different communities because guess what? Certain people aren't going to want to listen to, certain people don't have access to me right now.
Okay.
But because you shared me, now they have more access to more information. You know, and so I think we need to look at things like that. So I think social media, in my opinion, is a great way to start putting feelers out
Yeah.
of where you want to go with
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I think attending city council meetings,
Okay.
I think that has been very interesting for me as well.
Okay.
Learning about that. Learning something about your local elections, your school board. If you are a parent and you have kids, learn about your school board. Show up to a school board meeting and listen. You don't have to speak. We went to a school board meeting and I had somebody comment saying, oh, these people went and they didn't speak up. Well, we can't do that because people that are showing up, at least they're showing up.
Yeah.
So that already is a win.
Yeah.
You know, if we're gonna shame people for showing up and not speaking, like,
Yeah.
then
Where does
where do we go? You know, like we need them to at least show up.
Yeah.
People are not showing up. You
Yeah.
know, so now
Yeah.
people are showing up.
Yeah.
So I think we also have to look at those things of like, what are we doing? What are we putting out there? And what little steps we can take, right? I think also when we know that a Congress member is gonna come down, show up to that thing that's going.
Yeah.
Take a friend.
Yeah.
You know, we have elections coming
Show
up.
Yeah.
Plan something. I did when we had voting, I got a group of girls together, a group of my girlfriends, and we went and had coffee, talked about who we were voting for and why. We had our printed out things, and then we went and we voted together.
Yeah.
And that was something that we did together that made it more of we were able to like talk, we were able to hang out, socialize,
Yeah.
and go vote civically.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think, okay, good. Showing up to the things that interest you the most, to the conversations that are going to interest you the most. Outside of voting, you have to show up. That's the extra step that
Yeah.
you can take if you want
Yeah.
to take.
Yeah.
And if you haven't voted, taking that step to vote is your first step
Yeah.
into civic engagement. We see how civic engagement can truly affect individuals individually, obviously, but as a community and as a resource. I have a conversation with my sister who has, she does envíos to Mexico, right, in the community here in McAllen.
Okay.
This is where she's at today. And I asked her, I said, hey, are people leaving? She's like, yeah. Yeah, they're leaving. And I was like, well, is it because they're scared? They're like, it's because it's become too much. It's become too much.
There's uncertainty.
Yeah.
People don't like to feel uncertain. And McAllen, we depend on internationals.
Yeah.
A major part of our economy is internationals, and we're hurting.
Yeah.
A major part of our economy is the homes.
Yeah.
We've been featured on Wall Street Journal, New York Times, CNN. They've all been coming down. Texas Tribune, Texas Courier. Everybody's been coming down and talking about our economy because our builders are losing all of their employees.
Yeah.
They're taking them, you know? And so we might be blinded to it because we don't feel it right now. But all of this stuff, we don't feel the direct impact. The consumer, the resident doesn't feel the direct impact right now, but we feel it later. Let's talk about Houston.
Yeah.
You guys have a judge.
Yep.
He's been big on social because of how he's talking to people in the courtroom. Judge Milliron. That judge is a Republican. And if you don't know who he is, go Google him. Just put his name, Houston Judge. He's everywhere right now because he's been doing some crazy stuff in the courtroom.
Yeah.
He got into office because he won by I think it was 180 votes or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a Republican judge in there who is doing all this crazy stuff, and he only got in there because of 180 votes, or I don't know the number, but it's a very small number.
It's a margin number. And you would think that, oh, okay, Juan Heliga, well, that must have been 15,000 people voted. No. We're talking about maybe 3,000 to 4,000 to 5,000 people voted, and he won by 100.
Yeah. So it's it's just one of those things that we don't really understand the impact that it's going to have.
Yeah.
Until later down the road, and then we're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How did nobody know about this? Right now, there's a big thing going on here in McAllen. There's talks about maybe a detention center coming on, right? We've had Barbed Wire that put it in their thing. We had, who was the other? Bloomberg. They were posting it. There's been things coming out. We don't know. Data centers, we don't know. So as residents, it's our job to get informed. Is it happening? Is it not happening? What's going on? So we should, those types of things, they start helping you move the dial, you know?
Yeah. Into the space that we can be at. There's so many conversations that I want to have with you, and I think this is just a passing time, JC. I really want to sit down with you and have a whole spread out of conversation and bring up different topics and really dive deep into them, because I think diving deep sometimes it gets people really excited about what they're really doing, because when they go back, they don't need just talking points, they need real hard evidence. And I think that's one of the things that you're doing is giving real hard evidence into why it matters, where it stands, and where it might possibly go if it's not changed fast or quickly or within the time necessary. JC, what advice would you give to gentlemen or to young men just like you who see you as an inspiration or aspiration to be able to live up to?
I think that people are always going to talk. People are always going to have their opinions. People are always going to say whatever they want to say, and that is their prerogative. Let them, you know?
Okay.
Let people be, and you stay in your lane, and you do you, and you learn. Obviously, you got to be, no seas tóxico, right? You got to be receptive if there's something that's happening that you know, hey, maybe I should listen to this because I need this feedback. But honestly, if you know what you're doing is right, continue forward. Okay. And don't let the voices in your head, because, and I don't know if it happens to you, but I think it happens to the majority of us. When we're going to do something, we hesitate. And sometimes it's a little voice in our head.
All the time.
But that little voice has a face. Has a face of fulanito, fulanita. What are they going to say? What are they going to think?
You're right, it does.
You know?
Yeah.
And in different things, right?
Yeah.
It has a face of, oh no, if I do this person or this person or that, they're like that.
Yep.
They don't have your wallet. They don't pay your bills.
Yeah.
They don't have any control of where your life is going.
Yeah.
So why are you giving them that control to hold you back?
Yeah.
You know? Get rid of that little voice, that little face. It doesn't matter, because guess what? When I start talking politics, I was like, shit, this person's gonna unfollow me, and guess what? They did.
They did.
And guess
did
what
it fucking
happened?
matter? Nothing.
Nothing. I'm going.
You're right. You're
I'm
right.
going.
You're right. You're
The
right.
train is leaving.
Yeah.
We're on it.
Uh-huh. You got
Goodbye.
off? Great.
Adios. See you later.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about you. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like
Yeah.
it's like we all have that little phase, and
Uh-huh.
we gotta be like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Because if it really mattered, it would have mattered,
Mm-hmm.
and they would have stayed.
Yeah. If they really cared about you, if it was really like that,
Yeah. You're right.
you know,
Yeah.
but they didn't.
Yeah.
And I knew they weren't. And it's okay.
And that's heavy. And that's okay. It
And
is.
it's okay.
It is. It is.
Because
It's okay.
they can do them,
They'll figure it out.
and they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And when they're ready,
You're
they
right.
can catch the next ticket,
Yeah.
the next stop,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
can get back on the train.
Yeah. As we figure it out ourselves. Because, I mean, hello?
I didn't get here from one day to the next.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's an
Yeah.
evolution. We are consistently evolving.
I hate the fact that as soon as you said that, we talk about, and these little voices have faces, because mines do, and I hate it.
Hmm. They do.
I hate it.
They do. And we and even today I have new faces.
That you're afraid. Yeah.
And I'm whatever.
Okay.
Whatever. I'm talking about all of this, and
Mhm.
as I grow in this, I am going to make people upset. Other people upset that I don't even know who they are. But I'm going to continue going. I'm going to continue going.
Why? Why? I want to put them in a box and just kick them into the sea. And just, they in a barrel somewhere, and they can just go. And I wish I would have. Sometimes I think to myself, I wish I would have never met them. But then I put still too much focus and emphasis on
Mhm,
them, and we really do hate that. It's not that we care. It's just